Welcome back to Afternoon Live. Do your kids ignore you when you ask them to stop playing video games? Is getting them to sleep a bedtime battle? Transitions can be hard for both kids and parents. So here with advice, we welcome back parenting expert Tia Slightham. It's so nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Hannah.
I just had a rough morning with my 5-year-old, so this is a great time to be reminded of some of these things. Transitions are tough and we have to go in with a plan, right? That's the most helpful place to start.
Yeah, transitions are one of the trickiest things for parents. We want our kids to do simple things like brush their teeth, stop playing video games, do their homework, clean up after themselves. But for some reason, when we go in, it's just not working. So, one of the things we want to do in advance is really work to have a plan in place. And one of the reasons that's so important is we are often the drill sergeant. We are telling our kids what to do, when not to do it, what they need to be doing, how long they have, get up, get dressed. And our kids just don't want to be treated that way. And so if we put ourselves in their shoes, and we had a partner telling us to stop doing something that we love to go and do something that we don't love, we wouldn't like that abruptness. So we want to think about how it feels from their perspective. And so one of the things we can do is work in as much as we can to set a plan in place. And what that means is think about what after school routines you need. Think about the morning routines. Think about when you're going to go to the park, when you're going to have dessert. What are the things your kids are really begging and tantruming and frustrated with, and try and put a plan in place.
And I do notice when you have that plan in place, on the best circumstances, you don't have to say no as much, right? Because the kids aren't constantly asking you, can I have this? Can I do that? Because they kind of know better what's supposed to happen next.
Yeah, and when we're living in that cycle, we're doing that exact thing. We're the drill sergeant. We get to call all the shots. We get to decide yes or no. We get to decide when or how. And what we want to do is help our kids feel some of that autonomy, help them understand what's coming next, what their routines are like, what their schedule is like, so they feel like they don't have to ask all the time and they can build that independence as well.
And you can kind of flip things upside down, right? Making sure those things that need to get done, that's got to come first, and then we can get to the stuff we want to do, and that's the reward.
Yeah, so we want to think about it as sort of real life. So I don't like to use rewards because rewards are really short term extrinsic motivators, meaning when you do something, I'll buy you this. When you get an A, I'll give you $20. We want to actually build the internal motivation. And so I really like to think about it as real life. We go to work to earn an income so that we can then do things we love, go on vacations, buy clothes, support ourselves. Our kids, same thing. We want them to work hard in school so they understand when they work hard, things come on the other side. And so when we think about it, what we want to really do is get them to a place where they're constantly doing the things they need to do before the want to do, so that they're motivated to get to the want to do, like we're motivated to do our work. And so if we think about our days and really reflect on them, a lot of times our kids wake up, start watching TV. They come home, they go right to their video games or their devices or playing outside. And then we're calling them in. We're telling them to turn off their device, to put away their toys, to stop the video games, to come and do something really lame, like homework, brush teeth, get ready for bed, eat dinner, clean up. None of the things we want our kids to do are fun. And so to be strategic in our parenting, we want to get to a place where they do the things that are needed to be done first, so that they're motivated to get to the want to do, and you're not trying to drag them from something enjoyable to something not enjoyable.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and it feels like it'll help set them up for more success in adulthood as we understand that analogy of working at a job so you can go on vacation and pay the bills and all those things. What about getting your kids involved in the process? How do we kind of meet them at their level and make sure that they're invested in having the plan in place?
Yeah, so if you think about anything in life, if you're part of the plan, you're pretty invested in it. It was an idea you had, you felt seen, you felt heard. Whereas if somebody's just telling you what to do left, right, and center, you're going to dig your heels in and push back and have that resistance. So sitting down with your kids and involving them in an age appropriate way for younger kids, coming up with their routines with charts and pictures and words, and really helping them be part of that process. For when we come in the door, we 1 2 3, we wash our hands, we unpack our backpack, we sit down and we have our snack. For older kids, what are the things you want them to do, and really bring them on board and say, what are the things you need to do to get ready for bed? What are the things you need to do after school to prepare for the next day? Help them come up with that plan. Use some tools like timers, charts, lists, so that they can be more independent and you don't have to remind and you don't have to nag. They can do it on their own. And when you do this, it's going to really help them feel like they've had choice, they've had power, and they're going to be more invested in that process.
Does it feel overwhelming sometimes? I mean, to think about, okay, I've got to get this visual aid in place so I can make sure this kid knows, but then this kid, maybe they're a little bit more advanced. And how do you kind of juggle all that and not take on more as a parent, right? Sometimes I overdo it to myself, and then it doesn't really help everybody else.
Yeah, so a lot of the times what we do is we use little simple tips and tricks like a chart or a list or a timer, but we don't have a clear plan in place. And so it might work one day and then it backfires the next. And that's where parents get so exhausted. So we want to really have all the pieces of the puzzle. And that's what we do with parents, is get them to a place where it is easy and smooth. And yes, Hannah, proactive parenting might feel like a lot of work to get set up, but if you can do that, what you're doing is giving long-term results. So if you can set up an after-school routine where your kids aren't battling you, we're building positive homework routines, independence, internal drive. You're not having to nag or remind. Your bonding connection is stronger. You're enjoying your days with your kids. And the more you do this with even just toddlers and younger kids, it starts to just build the routines as they grow. And that's the important thing, is the more work you do up front, the way easier it is on the back end for you and your kids.
Yeah, that investment in a little bit of extra time now has a big payoff in the long run. Thank you so much. It was so great to see you.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, we'll have more information on our website at katu.com. We'll be right back with more Afternoon Live right after this.